Am I the asshole for not paying attention to my girlfriend on my Saw night? So this sounds ridiculous, but I'm just gonna get it over with. So, M19, I love Saw. I love the movies and pretty much anything related to it. So every Tuesday I watch a Saw film because I just do. I never get bored of it whatsoever. Anyways, my girlfriend, F20, likes to visit, and most of the time I go to hers. I go to hers, take her out for dinner, have a nice walk on the beach by her house, and we go home and do other stuff. This happened 2 days ago, and my girlfriend came over whilst I was watching Saw V5. I paused the film, obviously greeting her, and offered to take her out, but she said she feels like staying in. So I ordered pizza. Whilst I was ordering on my phone, I noticed she grabbed the remote and changed the channel, so I just simply put the film back on. She looked at me as if I committed murder and said, What are you doing?" "I'm trying to find us something to watch." I looked at her and said, "Sorry, but the movie I was watching is nearly over. Just got 10 minutes left of it, then we can find something to watch together." "So what? You can watch the rest of it tomorrow," she said as she tried grabbing the remote out of my hands. At this point I just let her take it and let her change the channel. So after ordering the food, I went to the kitchen and got us a can of Coke. She doesn't like alcohol, and quite frankly neither do I. Whilst waiting for food, she was trying to find a movie on Netflix, Disney Plus or Amazon, whilst I was on my phone watching the rest of my film with one wireless headphone bud in cause I lost the other one. She saw what was I watching and threw a little fit. "Are you serious? You can't be bothered to wait to watch your stupid film tomorrow?" I just told her it was 10 minutes left and that it's no big deal before I explained to her what I do on Tuesdays. Apparently she doesn't like horror stuff, so she wanted me to turn off what I was watching and pay her attention. I said, "Sure, when it's finished." She then went on and on about how I don't care about her and care more about some stupid gory films, when that wasn't true. I do care about her with all my heart, but I can't deal with her if she is gonna act like this, so I told her to knock it off and stop being a drama. She called me an asshole for being inconsiderate and left. Am I the asshole? Edit. Someone asked me if she knew that I'm a huge fan of Saw. I've mentioned it before, but she said she didn't really mind as long as I didn't turn into a serial killer as a joke, of course. Edit 2. I wanted to hear everyone's opinion on this just so me and my girlfriend can laugh at it together. I did text her this morning like an hour before I posted this, but she didn't respond until like 10 minutes after I did. I apologized, saying that I was acting childish for letting a film get in the way and for calling her drama. She didn't apologize at first, but she did eventually, claiming that she could have acted more mature. I offered her to come to mine for dinner and she said yes. I'm also gonna get her an apology gift because I love her. Edit 3. She'll be here in 15 minutes. Made us a nice roast dinner. Anyway, when she gets here we will talk about what happened, and some of you have given me some pointers about her behavior that I will talk to her about. I am also going to show her this post and have a look at what everyone has said. Like Jigsaw once said, "Let the games begin." Update. So, she came over for dinner and we talked. Now I know a lot of people were thinking I'm too nice of a guy cause I got her a gift, but this was something I ordered on the Sunday last week. She also got me a gift. It was Spiral, from the Book of Saw on Blu-ray. The reason she knows this is because I have it written on a small whiteboard on my fridge to get, which I keep forgetting. But anyways, the main thing is, we talked. She apologized first, surprisingly again. She apologized for acting like a spoiled brat and that she needs to understand that I also have a life and I'm allowed to spend it however I want. I also apologized for calling her drama, but she literally stopped me apologizing cause she said, "What did you do wrong?" We talked, ate, cuddled, and then you know. Anyways, here I am, downstairs in the kitchen drinking coffee, updating y'all. I know some people won't be happy with this update, but I want you all to know I really do appreciate the support and the advice. There are some things people have pointed out that I will talk to her about, but one step at a time. Not the asshole, she's acting like a spoiled little kid. You only had 10 minutes left of the movie. She could have easily just waited for those few short minutes instead of creating a huge fight and ruining the night for both of you pretty much. She was unreasonable, selfish and childish. Red flags all the way. Not the asshole. Ew, your edit makes me shudder. Your girlfriend is belittling your interests and you're apologizing? Even if you didn't have this intense interest in Saw, you gave her a reasonable answer of, "I have 10 minutes left, then we can find something." She's immature, temperamental, bordering on abusive, and you seem to find that cute. Yikes. Not the asshole, she's being the inconsiderate one. I would have let my partner finish 10 minutes of a movie he'd been watching. I would have also let him watch the last 10 minutes on his phone while I was looking for movies to suggest. Not the asshole. I wouldn't care who it was. If I was watching a film and someone turned up, I would finish it. X. Not the asshole. 10 minutes is nothing in the grand scheme of things, and I would have finished it too. Everyone sucks here. What are you guys, 12? Seriously. Not the asshole. Did you know she was on her way over? I think it's super rude to touch anyone's remote without asking first, let alone turning off someone's film. It only had 10 minutes left. For her to try and get her way and then get upset for something she couldn't even give 10 minutes of her time to, she didn't even know what she wanted to watch, she could have Googled shows while you finished yours, is very rude. You shouldn't have apologized. Now she knows she can just push you to stop doing what you want by yelling and she'll get her way. Not the asshole. I'm coming over and you need to drop everything and pay attention to me, is not a very nice attitude to have when someone is trying to have some time to themselves for some self-care. People are getting hung up on it being a movie, but I can imagine that tune would change if you were doing some other activity like, say, playing a team sports game or jamming with your band every Tuesday instead. Am I the asshole for going on a b-day trip with my grown daughter and leaving my boyfriend to take care of shit? My daughter gifted me a trip for my birthday. It's somewhere I've always wanted to go and I'm super excited about it. I work a lot. I have 2 younger kids who still live at home. I don't have a social life. I am either at work, or at home. Or my boyfriend and I go to the mountains near our home and Sunday breakfast, brunch occasionally. I took my youngest daughter on a small birthday trip in May and 2 years ago did a weekend thing to our closest city with all my kids for school shopping and just to get away. My boyfriend stayed home both times. When I called him excited to tell him about the trip, his response was not what I expected. He said, "Fuck, when am I gonna get to go on a trip?" I responded with "whenever you want to." He then proceeded to try to make me feel guilty because he and I haven't gone anywhere. I told him if he wanted to go somewhere all he had to do was plan it. It wasn't always my responsibility to plan stuff. He said he didn't even know how to begin to plan a trip. This conversation ended up making me feel incredibly guilty, which I didn't feel comfortable with. I told him I would ask her to cancel the trip. He then said, "No, you deserve this, it's good for you." It wasn't brought up again until right before bed. He started asking questions about what I planned to do with my children while I'm gone. I gave him the ideas I had and he laughed and said I'll be here. I don't want him having the responsibility of my other kids, so I was going to take care of it so he didn't have to. He then asked how long I'd be gone. 5 days total, what our plans were, etc. I could sense that he was getting annoyed, so I kept my excitement to myself as to not rub it in his words. The conversation eventually ended with him saying, "I'm just sick of getting left behind taking care of shit, while you get to go on your adventures." I said, "You can go on adventures too. You have the time, you have the money. I'm not stopping you." He then turned around and nothing else was said. Insight. He has mentioned trips but never takes the initiative to actually go. Whenever we do something, it's me making the effort. I am really close with my adult children. We talk nearly every day. He is not as close with his adult children. They don't talk as often and he feels burdensome to one of them, as they never return his calls, messages, etc. I make my own money. We split the rent and I buy the groceries and pay the utilities. Occasionally, I'll ask for help, but for the most part one take care of those expenses as I have the kids. It's just him. Edit. I mention the above because maybe he wants to go on a trip but he wants me to pay for it. I've sent him links to concerts, hotels, etc. but nothing has happened. I'm not expecting him to pay for everything, I just want effort. Update. I spoke to him about my feelings on how he behaved. He said he was just expressing his feelings. I told him the fact that he had those feelings are what I have issues with. Not that they were being expressed. He admitted to being envious and asked what he could do to make it better. Then started asking about the trip. I said he couldn't. What was said and now I can't even talk to him about whether or not I'm buying a new bikini because I feel like he's just saying what he thinks I want to hear. Then he'll sneak in an attempted guilt trip later. This has made me rethink a lot of things as far as our relationship goes. If he's envious of the trip, what will keep him from being envious in the future? Envious people are envious people regardless of what the situation is. Envy is an energy I'm not comfortable with and don't want to be around. I feel if I tell him this, he will say he's sorry. Then say I'll work on it. But if he's not willing to put in the effort to plan a vacation or a real outing, I doubt he's willing to put in the work to first figure out where the envy stems from. Then addressing it and working through it. It's been mentioned that he's immature and emotionally taxing. I've been so exhausted lately and I can't figure out why. I didn't even think until very recently that it's him. He's draining my energy levels and I'm allowing him to. I'm playing games like his by saying I'll cancel the trip when in reality that was never an option. Where else am I doing this in my life? Thank you all for your insight and helping me to see things for what they are. I appreciate all your input. Not the asshole. He said he didn't even know how to begin to plan a trip. He's an adult who has access to the largest repository of information ever available in all of human history. He can just Google that shit. You and I both know that, I don't know how to do X, really just means, I don't want to put in the effort to figure out how to X, like, if this involved something highly skilled like painting a portrait or something, that would be a valid excuse. But, I don't know how to travel somewhere else to engage in a fun activity. Nah, that's just laziness. Not the asshole, but this is obviously not about the trip. It's about this. I am really close with my adult children. We talk nearly every day. He is not as close with his adult children. They don't talk as often and he feels burdensome to one of them. As they never return his calls, messages, etc. He's still the asshole for numerous reasons, there's just obviously more to it. Not the asshole. What shit exactly does he take care of when you aren't there? Because you weren't leaving childcare up to him, so what exactly is he taking care of? Watering plants? He sounds jealous that you have a better relationship with your adult children than he does. And he wants to go on trips but he won't bother to ever plan them, but then is angry at you for going on your own trips? Not the asshole. If your boyfriend wants to go on a trip with you, he should take some initiative and plan it. Go on the trip with your daughter. You deserve it. Not the asshole. This feels like gaslighting to me. You have an opportunity to go on an adventure with your child and because he is jealous he intentionally make you feel guilty about this healthy behavior. Having relationships with your children is so important and the fact that he would make you feel guilty about this is worrisome. You did not try to make him babysit. You did not leave him with extra responsibilities. You actively go on trips with him to the mountains. There is nothing that you have done wrong. He wants you to plan trips for him and is upset that you haven't, but you also didn't plan this trip, your daughter did. I think you need to have a serious discussion about expectations and jealousy with him and also I hope you go on this trip guilt-free. Not the asshole. Especially if you're not leaving him to care for your younger children while you're away. I understand his being jealous, but it sounds like, from what you've said, he never tries to plan things on his own. Unless you're a travel agent, it's not your job to plan a vacation for him to appease him. Not the asshole. How is a grown man unable to plan a trip? How can you be attracted to a man who displays such pathetic levels of incompetence? Not the asshole. Read this and pretend it's not you, but a friend. What advice would you give them? Me. I'm wondering why you are with someone who cares so little about you. Your children, is estranged from his own children, and whines about everything. He sounds exhausting. What do you get from this relationship? No D is worth this, and you might be happier alone. Am I the asshole for being snippy with the groom's mother? Edit. Wow. I woke up to this avalanche of comments and I'm extremely thankful for the support I've received, but please stop giving me awards. A lot of people have been saying the groom's an awe, but I'd like to just step in and say that Phil is more of an asshole than him in the big picture. Why? Because I suspect that he's allowed and stood by as this woman, Mill, verbally abused his children to the point they don't know how to fight back. In the context of the wedding, I considered the groomsmen as useless as well cause they didn't do anything to help. They were just playing their phones the entire time and just allowed the mill to run wild. So as much as the groom should have stood up to his own mother, there were other people who could have and should have intervened much earlier. On a more positive note, he's been learning to grow a spine, so things have been slowly improving. Lockdown definitely helped. Background. I was the bridesmaid to a close friend, bride, who has a difficult mill. She browbeats everyone around her, including her son, groom, and her own husband, into submission and says the most cruelest things when things don't go her way. I've witnessed it with my own eyes and ears. At their engagement party, how groom does nothing while Mill passes passive-aggressive remarks quietly when she thinks no one is within earshot. I stared her down, and she's been very careful around me ever since. Mill attempted to control the entire wedding planning, but that didn't work cause of lockdown, and the couple managed to plan a small, less than 20 people, wedding that they've always wanted. Mill was displeased, to say the least. Issue. As the law of the universe dictates, what could go wrong went wrong on the morning of the wedding, and bride was delayed by around 30–45 minutes. Bride was freaking out in her room. Venue was at a house. Because we could hear Mill raging to anyone who would listen, including bride's own parents, about how bride was ruining the morning. No one, not even the groom's father or sister, wanted to tell Mill to calm down or even tell her how much longer it was going to take. I checked the estimated time needed, 10–15 minutes, added another 10 minutes, just in case, went down, and told the groom that she'll be down in 25 minutes. Groom is fine since the wedding was being live streamed and the delay was already announced. Mill overhead and flipped at me, yelling that bride was inconsiderate, in front of bride's parents. Why didn't we plan better? How could we expect her, Mill, to wait any longer? Groom did nothing but just stared at the floor. I turned to her and said in a polite, but stern, voice, "I know you're upset, but today is not about you. I will not allow you to disrespect me. You can sit down, enjoy the day your son is getting married instead of causing a scene. There's a fan, food, drinks, and music for you to enjoy. You don't need to upset yourself over this. It is being managed." Before she could respond, I just went back up and helped bride with the final details. Mill was subdued the rest of the event, and stayed far from me. Mill later told bride that I had shamed her, and as mother of the groom she deserved better. Groom sided with me, but it's caused a bit of a stir since Mill is demanding I apologize, saying that if I don't, she would go LC low contact with bride and groom. Edit. Someone did rage as me for using LC cause boomers don't use that, so you're a liar. Well, since I'm retelling events, obviously I can't quote the Mill verbatim. I couldn't even if I wanted to since Mill threatened the couple during a family dinner. Not the asshole. And if the Mill chooses to go LC with the bride and groom, that would probably be best for everyone involved. Problem solved. Not the asshole. In your shoes I would apologize. I am sorry you wanted to make your son's wedding day all about you. I apologize for pointing out how unreasonable you were being. She would go LC with bride and groom. That sounds like the best possible wedding gift you could give to your friends. Not the asshole. Good on you for sticking up for the bride. Not the asshole. To be honest, Mill going LC is probably excellent news. Then they don't have to put up with her. Let's face it, someone like that will go LC until she finds out they're pregnant. Then she'll dominate that too. Not the asshole. F her and the broom she rode in on. Edit. No, seriously. She has some nerve to demand an apology. The happy couple may get a blessing in disguise if she goes LC. INFO. Why is she threatening to go LC with the bride and groom when you're the one who was snippy with her? Also, how does the bride and groom feel about her potentially going LC? Edit. Not the asshole sounds like you're doing them a favor, lol. Not the asshole. Mill is demanding I apologize, saying that if I don't, she would go LC with bride and groom. Problem solved. Am I the asshole for offering to buy back a gifted board game that has gone unplayed? So 4 years ago I bought a copy of Gloomhaven for a friend. He is the group board game enthusiast and had been going on about how he wished he could get it because he wanted to play it. At the time he couldn't afford it because it was $300 after shipping, and he and his wife were saving to buy a house. So as a surprise I bought it and gave it to him as a gift. Later that week we played our first session and I fell in love with the game and its concept. I figure he had been excited and our group liked it, save one friend who can't play games like this without getting upset, so this looked like it would become a semi-regular thing to play. Well, I was wrong. In the months that followed we played it maybe once before it got shelved for other games he was buying. It sat for almost a year before we touched it again, a move that felt like a gesture to placate me from bringing it up more so than actual interest. So now 4 years have gone by and we have played it all of 5 times total. In this time he has bought, played and shelved well over 50 games or expansions to games he has, all the while persisting to excuse our reason for not playing it due to schedule conflicts. Though this feels like an excuse because we regularly meet up as a group once a week, during which he never tries to organize a time despite my semi-regular reminders that it would be cool to get around to playing it again since most of our gaming group likes it. Well, an opportunity arose for us to possibly play it. The person who hates it is skipping a night to watch a football game, leaving only the 4 of us who do like it showing up that night. I suggested this as an option and immediately got reasons we wouldn't be playing it that night. So rather than just sitting on my thumbs, I took to the internet to see if I could buy a copy for myself, and it's still super expensive, so my wife told me to see if he would be willing to part with his copy and be compensated for it, in lieu of shelling out for a new copy. In doing so, I was told how annoying I am for constantly trying to play this game. He proceeded to berate me on how rude it was to even ask, even though I explained why I was even asking. In the last 7 months since the last time we played it, I have asked maybe 8 or 9 times about it in passing. During this last 4 years he hasn't texted once trying to organize schedules to get a chance to play, and I am honestly left feeling confused and all around doubtful of his claim that he wants to play this game anymore. Whenever he gets a new game, he doesn't hesitate to get a group together to test his new game. Meanwhile, he hasn't shown this level of interest when it comes to Gloomhaven. For context, he also has well over 200 board games and a slew of card games. I am BTA because I offered to buy back an expensive gift I bought 4 years ago after I perceived the person who got it was uninterested in the gift, while I am still very much interested in playing it. Edit. I have only asked if I could buy it once. Edit 2. For those who don't know what Gloomhaven is, it is not a standard board game, it is a legacy game with a build-your-own-adventure element. Requires literally 100+ sessions to complete. Sorry for any confusion, I tend to bounce around a bit. Not the asshole for asking. If he doesn't like playing it, stands to reason he might want the money to buy other games. But as many games as he has, I could also see him not wanting to sell what he might consider part of a collection. His response seems overboard. Not the asshole, you literally offered to pay him for a gift you bought that he doesn't seem to have an interest in. The fact he doesn't want to sell it is fine, it's his property, but you weren't the asshole for asking. Nah. I don't think it's unreasonable to want to play the game, but you did gift it to your friend. They seem like somewhat of a game collector, so they might want to keep it for their collection more than they enjoy playing it with the group. I'd suggest either buying yourself a copy, or, instead of trying to buy back your gift, ask if you can borrow it every so often to play with another group. It doesn't sound like your friend will be receptive to you continuing to bring it up as an option for this group's game night, though. Not the asshole, no harm in asking him. His response did kind of leave a bad taste in my mouth. A simple, "No, I like having it as a collectible," would suffice. He beat around the bush with, "My schedule doesn't allow for it, but he can play other games, what?" and then proceeded to berate you for asking. You have your answer, just leave it at that and get your own in the future. You are the asshole. The game has been played 5 times. Just because he does not play it as much as you think he should does not mean he doesn't like it. You are the asshole. For the love of all that is holy, game night, let it go. Save your money for a game of your own to play with new friends, because that's what's happening here. Over. A game. The game was his once you gave it to him, and he owes you no explanation as to why he doesn't play it very often, or even if he doesn't play it at all. You blew it big time. Not the asshole offering to buy the game from him isn't an issue at all. Seems he isn't interested in it but doesn't want anyone else to play it either. It's a game I want as well, but it's serious money. Do you think it's possible the others that play might pitch in some dollar to buy your own copy just so you can play it? You are the asshole. Is it any of your concern how he uses or does not use the gift you gave him? Come on. Let it go. Is it really worth your time to go after a board game like that?